Okay, so today is Monday, and we're beginning a very interesting parsha. We're towards the beginning of a very interesting Torah portion. Avram's wife passed away, right? We're going to learn about that. Avram's wife passed away. He goes and he purchases Hebron. He purchases the Machpelah cave, the Ma'aras HaMachpelah. David, God willing, will go there soon together. And Eretz Yisrael, we'll go visit the great-grandparents over there. Whoever wants to join us on the JLI trip, hopefully it will work out. And he goes and he buries Sarah over there. Let's see this story inside. And then he needs to find a wife for his son Yitzchak. We'll see what happens. He's on daddy duty now, right? He got to marry off his son. Yaakov stay Ephraim. The field of the guy, who did he buy it from? That was in yesterday's Chumash. There was a man called Ephron. And Ephron, Avram knew that there, according to some of the commentaries, I believe, that Adam and Eve were buried there. So he specifically wanted that piece of real estate. He said, what do you want? I want this land. Asher b'Machpelah, which was facing the Machpelah. Asher l'fnei Mamre, that was before Mamre, in the area called Mamre. That was the general area there. Hasada, and everything now became moved over to become Avram's possession. He now owned a new piece of real estate in that area. In the area of Hebron, he purchased it. By the way, this is like a deed. This reads like a deed. It's funny, I said this yesterday, how one of the most contested pieces of real estate within Israel is Hebron. And we literally, this actually reads like a deed. In the Torah, you'll see here, Ma'ara, and it moved over to his possession, the field, and the Ma'ara and the cave, Asher Boy that's in it, and all the trees, everything that belonged in that section, those acres that he bought, that's in the field, everything in the entire border of that field, of that area, became and belonged to Avram. And it actually became, they say also, it became a holy piece of land. Now that Avram owned it, it wasn't just owned by a Ephron guy. This became Avram's holy piece of real estate. Avram, the Mikneh, became for Avram as a possession. In front of the eyes of the whole children of Ches, it was a public acquisition. This is a deed, writing that there's a public acquisition there. Within everyone who came to the gate, and there was a lot of people there. Remember, we said they came to pay respects to Sarah. Avram and Sarah were famous. Sarah passed away. Everybody was there. He needed a place to bury his wife in the Shiva house. Right out there, he's buying the land to bury his wife. Here's the deed. This is the Torah of Achri. Cain covered Avram and Sarah, and then Avram, after he buys it, actually buries his wife there. We could go there till today. This area, that's where we go to David. His wife Elmara. So Elmara stay Machpelah in the cave that's in the field of the Machpelah. Pnei Mamre, facing the area of Mamre. He Hebron, and that is Hebron till today. It's the same name. The Eretz Canaan, in the land of Canaan. It wasn't Israel then, yet it was Canaan. Yaakov Masada of Amara, the field moved over to the acquisition of Avram. Shabela Avram, the Chuzas covered Meis as a burial property. It became like a cemetery area purchased from the sons of Ches. And that is the end, complete story of Avram burying his wife, and you can go there to today. Jews from all over the world go to Hebron and visit this burial place. But Avram Zaken, and Avram is getting old. Baba Yamim is advancing in his days. His wife has passed away. His wife passed away at 127 years old. Avram, was 10 years older than her, right? He was 137 years old. And God blessed Abraham with everything. Finally, he had everything, right? He used to be a very rich guy, but he didn't have everything. He didn't have a son. And now he blessed him with a son. Now, what do you do if you have a son? You got to find him a shidduch, right? I guess Avram is going to make sure that a son gets married. Now, I want to just share with you an interesting thing. In the Chumash that we learned on Friday, right? We learned about the story of Avram and sacrificing bringing his son as a sacrifice. At the end of that story, Avram says, "Oh no, I got to marry off my son because God forbid if I would have to kill my son, maybe he would have at least had kids." Would have had descendants. If who knows, Avram, something could happen to Abraham. Let me get him married. Let's have children from Avram, right? Very interesting. So Avram said, I have friends under Eshkol and Mamre, we learned, that would live next to Avram. They weren't family, but they were friends. He wanted to he's thinking, who has a daughter from my friends that could marry my son to? At the last minute, at that moment, Hashem says, don't. Let me let you know, you have a brother, Milcah and Nachar, a brother Nachar, I think was Nachar married to a woman called Milcah, I remember correctly. And they had kids, they had 8 children from that marriage. And the youngest one is Besuel. And Besuel, your nephew, Besuel, basically, one of your youngest nephew, Besuel, has a daughter, and her name's Rivka. She's very young, But this is the girl that Hashem basically told him, because I know we talk about it in our class a lot. Oh, how did he marry this girl? She's so young. How is it allowed? It actually seems to be from last week's parsha that Hashem specifically, almost like he felt at least that Hashem, he was planning on marrying his son to somebody else. Hashem told him, there's a girl, Rivka, you have to marry, there's a girl, there's a relative here, I want you to go back to your family, understood, to marry this girl. It was like basically a prophecy from Hashem. He felt the sense that he needed to marry Yitzchak to this daughter. But how does he go get her? But Yomer Avram, now how you make the shidduch? Like, where are they going to go out? They got to go out to, we're going to go to the city. Where are they going to go to? How are we going to make this date? How's he going to make it happen? So Avram says to his servant, the elder of his house, I guess Eliezer's been there for a while, is helping out. That ruled over everything, his CEO. He went to the guy who took care of the possessions. He says something very interesting to that Rashi will explain. Put your hand under my thigh, basically touch my male organ, that area. So Rashi says, what's going on over here? What's going on? Rashi says, it's a very famous thing. When you make a promise and you want someone to feel, there's a guy you want to know if he's saying the truth or not. You take him to the shul. You go to a Sefer Torah, you said, put a Sefer Torah in your hand, swear in the name of Hashem, holding the Sefer Torah, that you're saying the truth. And that's very hard for the guy to lie. Hopefully, the guy will say the truth. It's one way of doing it. The problem is they had no Sefer Torahs. He had one mitzvah. What was the mitzvah that Abraham had? He had bris milah. He says, hold the bris milah, swear to me holding on this mitzvah, Rashi says, was the most precious mitzvah to him because he, what pain Abraham had to go through. It was the greatest mitzvah. So he says, so I'll put your hand under my thigh, hold the mitzvah, and swear to me. And what do I want you to swear? Verse 3. Swear to me in the name of God. Holding the mitzvah, the greatest mitzvah, in the name of Hashem, the God of heavens, and the God of earth. God of heaven and God of earth. Because in a minute, he's just going to say God of earth. You'll see. God of heaven, sorry. He's Hashem in the heavens and the earth, because I let everybody in earth know about Hashem. When I said you, go not to the Canaanites, to none of the locals. Do not go to the local inhabitants of this country, where I'm living. I want a shidduch, but not here. What I want you to do, Kil Artzi, go to my land, to my birthplace. Telech, you should go, and take for my son a wife from my family, my cousins, the nephew, the nieces. Go get a wife for him. And the servant says, what if the girl doesn't want to come? So in other words, who says the girl will want a shidduch? Fine. But who's moving where? The girl says, I'll get married, but the boy's got to come to me, just like in my marriage, right? You got to move to Manalpin. That's the deal. You gotta come to live where the girl is. What if that's the case? Avram says, I'm warning you. Be very careful. I'm telling you straight off now. Do not leave my son out of here. My son stays in Eretz Yisrael. Just to share with you some of the things the commentaries say why Yitzchak, his father, was a traveler, was a great traveler. Why does Yitzchak have to stay local? One of the interesting things is Yitzchak was brought as a sacrifice. He was so holy. There was nothing. Yitzchak was brought as a sacrifice. No human being, I believe, ever got to that stage that the human was brought as a sacrifice. He had to stay in Israel. He had to stay local. Avram says, no, my son's not leaving. God sent me. Look, verse 7, Hashem Elokei Hashemayim, God of the heavens, who used to be only the God of heavens. And I introduced him to the people in the world. That took me out of those northern cities where I lived. That took me from the Father's house. I was born in a place called Ur Kasdim. Remember where I was thrown into the fire there. Or Meretz Malati, where I was born. And from the house of my father, which then moved to north, I guess near Syria over there, near to Charan, where Charan is. And Hashem who spoke to me, Hashem swore to me, saying, I'm giving this land of Israel to your inheritance. He protected me, took me from there, got me out of the fire in Ur Kasdim, took me to Charan, got me out of there, brought me south to the land of Canaan, to this local land of Israel. Will send his angel before you. He will make it happen. Don't ask me questions. What if the girl wants to live? You will take a wife for my son. From there, Hashem will look out for me and promised me in the covenant that I will have a son. He will live here. You bring the girl here. It will work out. And what happens if the girl doesn't want to come? She says, I want to marry him, but I want to go there. Then you're cleared from my promise, making you swear. you can come back, find a local girl from my friends, Honor, Eshkel, and Mamre, from my 3 friends who live local here. We could look into their girls, but I want you to get the girl from there. The bottom line is, my son ain't going there. It's not happening. That's the bottom line. He has to live local. But Yosem, so I want from there. That's the family. Hashem just informed me that I have relatives there that are born. I know about it. I think that the reason is because I need to get a girl from family over there. But my son, so the guy says, well, maybe get a local girl. Maybe get a local girl. What if she doesn't want to come? He says, no. He says, well, first go there. It will work out. If it doesn't work out, then we'll worry about the locals here. So his servant Eliezer put his hand under Avram's thigh. And he swore to him regarding this matter that he will not return the son and he will go get a girl from the family over there. And to find out the rest of the story, you'll have to join us in tomorrow's class. Any questions or comments